Hey, Mark, can you hear me? I cannot hear Mark. You got to click that thing again, Tammy.
Got it. What about now? Check
Oh,
me
there
out.
we go. Now I hear you. There we go.
What's the quick command for mute? Do you know? I guess there really isn't.
No, you just have to click that mute.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, there.
Dang, I'm so jealous of your setup.
Ah,
So jealous.
I've been working on this for a little while.
Yeah, it's not your first rodeo, that's for sure.
I've been doing this a couple months now, and I'm just getting, what is this, number 7, Tammy?
Yeah, I think so.
So I'm getting used to it. I'm getting a little better. I'm now knowing on if the couple of webinars that I had, I didn't turn the camera settings off, and you see all the numbers, you know, the ISO, the
Oh, really?
minutes left. You see the clock going. They're really bad.
That's good. That's good.
Hey, that screen looks great now. That Eibach in the back, and that looks real nice.
I calmed down a second and figured out there was another option for a for this like gray gradient. I thought like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a nice bit. So
Yeah, that looks real good.
Alex, real quick, where did you send me that link?
I didn't, because I was too busy trying to figure out why my camera didn't work.
You said you were passing it on, but everybody in? Yeah. The Tammy Striler email.
Okay.
In. Okay, just email right there. Perfect. Okay, here we go. You guys ready?
I'm gonna try this again.
Okay. Okay.
And I always tell people 5:30 sharp, 5:30 sharp, and I'm the one that's supposed to a minute late.
Okay.
it's fashionably late.
That's okay.
Fashionably late.
Okay,
All right,
going,
mix water.
going, here we
It's
go.
not water anymore.
All right.
Yeah.
go.
Have you let everybody in? Whoa.
Yes.
Well, it's a party.
All right, almost a party here. Hey, here we go. So Tammy, tell me when you're in, and I'll start.
Doesn't matter. You can go ahead and start anytime.
I think there's one on the upper right. You have to admit. There you go. That's you. Mark, you good?
Yes, sir.
All right. We'll go 5, 4, 3. I can hear myself in somebody's. Is that ours? That's Tammy? Tammy, that's your computer. There. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to the 7th Meet the Sponsors episode. Today, we have a real special guest. Mark Crumey is joining us from Eibach Springs. Mark's been with Eibach since about 2013, I believe. And he said something really cool that I want to jump right into when we were talking the other day. Mark says he doesn't just have sponsorships, but he has technical partnerships. So Mark, how's it going in Corona? And then what do you mean by technical partnerships? Tell me more.
Everything's great. Thank you. We are slammed. Thank you to everyone who's using our stuff and super patient. We've got orders out the wazoo, but everything is very good in the world of Eibach. As far as our conversation goes, the technical partnership aspect of things it's actually a term I picked up just talking to everybody, and it just, basically is about being a product sponsor and kind of taking the partnership, starting the partnership with the product, and then kind of progressing there, building a relationship, and kind of going from there.
And so partnerships or product sponsorships start because you're looking for something in return from the teams or the properties that you're sponsoring. Are you looking for content? You looking for race wins? Are you looking to prove functionality? What's important? What is it that you're looking for out of these technical partnerships, AKA sponsorships?
Yeah, I'd say, well, in this day and age, content is king. So really, teams who come to us with strong content deliverables, it really is what we're looking for. We want to see people, you know, teams out there driving regularly. Show us a schedule. Stick to your schedule when you can. I understand that not everything goes as well as it can, and racing is racing. Performance is always awesome, but uh, Eibach, a big term here, a coined phrase is the will to win. So we all have the will to win. Sometimes it doesn't turn out that way, but as long as we're there, we got our nose to the grindstone, and we're pushing, and we're trying, and we're developing new products, and advancing the brand. That's what we want.
That's excellent. And you're involved in how many different, I said 250 race teams. That was pre-COVID. Has it remained the same through COVID? Is it approximately 250?
It's come and gone. We've got yeah, it's probably about 200 individual drivers or teams, and not everyone is always racing, and not everyone is always driving. So I guess you could call it an ambassadors and Team Eibach drivers, I guess you could say.
Excellent. And you're involved in a lot of different series, everything from Formula One, short course, off-road, Baja, NASCAR, circuit racing, SCCA contingencies.
Yeah.
Is it all shock springs and dampeners in terms of product for all of those different series, or do you give other things as well, such as media, to some of your teams?
Well, yeah. So one thing that we try to remind our teams, or not really leverage, but we have a pretty good reach as far as our social media goes. We have a decent reach on our Instagram. We have a very good reach on Facebook. We spend lots of money to promote products, brands, race results, all of this stuff on our social media channels. So what a driver or team is getting with that is we may not be able to give dollars directly to you, but we're spending those dollars to amplify your results, amplify your team, amplify the brand, and our partnership together.
Yeah, that's actually perfect. I often say, and what advice I've given a lot of racers who I've helped is, if you do get money from a sponsor, don't spend all of it on your car or having fun. Take about 20% or so and reinvest it into marketing of your team and marketing of your sponsors. So it sounds like you also do that on behalf of your partners.
Yeah, that goes a really long way, because when as your relationship grows, doors start to open, and those opportunities might present themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there was a door that opened for us as I got a technical sponsorship or partnership from Eibach, from you, in fact. I don't know, 5-6 years ago, through a very good friend of mine, someone who I think is one of the most decent, honest, and just best humans on earth, and that is Wilfred Eibach.
Oh, I thought you were going to say me.
Of course, you work with one of my favorite people in the whole world. That guy is just amazing. How you were so lucky to have not a boss like that, but sort of a mentor and a leader at the company. And he was coming on off-road rides through Joshua Tree and decked out one of my razors with the springs and the whole suspension kit, I should say. And to this day, everybody who drives that razor swears it's better than our other razor, which is 2 years newer with dynamic suspension.
Yeah, there you go. No, Wilfred, he's the real deal. I mean, he's over in Germany right now, but he's often in the States. He bounces back and forth, and he's always at the Baja races. He's an off-roader through and through, but he's really just a motorsport guy in general. So it's really special to have him still be so involved in the company. I mean, it's his last name. He's set us up for success. He's always been pushing pushing the limits of the brand, and he truly is a mentor, just like you said. I remember the first time we went out, I was totally brand new in the sales department, and someone handed me a camera because I could kind of take pictures. They're like, "Oh, go out with Wilfred's truck and go take pictures." And he's like, "I'd like to come with you." And I was like, "Okay." So we went on our first photo shoot with the man. Nice. And we got to meet, really know each other. And I have interest in motorsport too, so we were able to kind of connect there. And ever since then, we've had a really great relationship. So yeah, he's definitely a great person to work for and be part of his company. And, we really are a team. We're Team Eibach, but, he's the guy behind it. He opens the doors. He's the networking guy. Anyone who knows him knows that he's just the nicest guy and the most personable person ever. So
He really is. He's one of the most decent human beings I've met. And I'm wondering if if that sort of translates to the culture of the company and then to the culture of your teams as well. Do you look for a certain type of person, type of team that matches the culture that Wilfred has defined just by his own attitude? Because I don't see a lot of badass tough guys, in the sort of the same realm as Wilfred, who's always all giving and all kind and generous and high quality, obviously, because it's a German company. I'm wondering, do you select racers that sort of adhere to the same culture that Wilfred has established at the very top?
I think in a way, yes. We don't define it that way, but as David, our sales manager, who was once the motorsports manager, we work together hand in hand to review teams and figure out who's the best fit for us. And we obviously want to choose some teams or drivers who fit our culture. We need to be able to trust that person to represent the brand and to be our voice, because essentially that's what everyone is in this partnership is. It becomes an amplification of our voice, and vice versa.
That's a great way to put it. An amplification of your voice. So they're an extension of your marketing in areas where you don't physically or geographically, you can't reach. So they're going on your behalf to events or to races and tracks and maybe meeting people, shaking hands, acting as your representative.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. So a couple of teams I know right off the bat would be, let's say, Bryce Menzies and Casey Curry. Can you give some examples of what those guys do? I mean, I know both of them and they're great guys. So personality is a great fit. What do they do content-wise that helps Eibach Springs?
So, those guys have been longtime partners of ours and been putting our springs to the test through everything. One thing that we see is really good media deliverables, and we don't really even have to ask for it. It's just a part of the partnership. Casey and his team are constantly sending schedules of the 3-month schedules and say, these are the races he's going to be at, or these are the events he's working or going to be at, and then they always have a Dropbox link to whatever is fresh. And that has been a very valuable tool for us, and worth its weight in gold. So that's and so for us, it makes it an easy partnership. If you need something, we're happy to do it. And Bryce and his team are also very good at that. Casey's super busy. I don't know how he has any time to do any of this stuff. His schedule's packed. Bryce is doing larger races, bigger stuff. So he's got stuff going on. Actually, we just signed on with the team for the Baja 500.
Tell me about that. That just happened last week. How did he do? Tell me what kind of content did he collect? I saw a photo. It looked phenomenal. I texted it to you. That was badass. That's a great shot.
Yeah. So we had the opportunity and the honor to work with Jason Coleman and his team. He reached out and said, "Hey, love to work together. Here's something about ourselves." And then we had a conversation with him, and not only has he had great results, he had a great result at San Felipe, but this vehicle was literally just itching for an Eibach logo on it. It's just a giant red truck with his Coleman Motorsport logo on it and some other stuff. It's like, dude, if there's any opportunity, this would be a good one. And as we mentioned before, we're pretty much just a technical partner for all of our partnerships and all of our sponsorships. And so it can be a challenge when you've got to try and help teams make stuff work, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And so what we were able to do was work with Jason and his media team to really come up with a great media package, including some helicopter footage, which we just got today. Some great images. We worked together to time out a kind of a release of the new livery, and all of that stuff worked out perfectly. So It was very last minute, but we were able to make it work.
So there's something that you may not know yet. I don't know Jason. I've never met him, but he took my workshop a while back, and
Oh.
then he signed up for a 30-minute deck review. And he asked, and I got on the phone with him. I remember I was driving to the Great American Short Course race that Lee Perfect puts on. I was driving to Victorville, and I scheduled a call with Jason like on the drive. And I pulled over at one point because I was losing the signal going up the Cajon Pass. And I chatted with him, and everything he described, it just reeked of off-road and branding and Baja. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you a couple names. Don't tell them that I gave you their email addresses. And you were one of them. So I'm glad that
There you
worked
go.
out.
Yeah, no, it worked out great.
Yeah, that
The
photo.
truck looks great. They finished the race. He's delivering on what, our program, and we're, looking forward to continued work
Excellent.
together.
Excellent. Now, when you and I were talking earlier, you mentioned something that I've never heard anybody say, but I think you're right. Not to judge other types of racing and other racers, but there's something about off-road racers that they're very good at content collection, and they're very good at just understanding the content needs and the media needs of some of their sponsors. And I think I've been involved with a lot of off-road, so I see that a little bit more than some of the street racing and the pavement racing. But when I see the off-road content that's delivered, you see everything from the RJ Anderson's, his Razor and Polaris promotions that are done by Mad Media. That stuff is amazing, the
Right.
content.
Mhm.
So why do you think, or do you even know, what is it about off-roaders that makes them a little bit more media savvy? Or
I think honestly, it comes down to if you take a step back and look at how bad you can screw up your vehicle.
oh, yeah.
This actually goes for drifting as well, but we just haven't had a very strong hold on the drift market. We tried a little bit before, but
I may know a drifter or two.
yeah, is it Justin over there? But yeah, I think it's like what gets the most attention, right? And everyone wants to see a little bit of like Robin's race and stuff, some good racing and stuff like that. So, when you're getting down into the grassroots level stuff, it's really hard, and it is really expensive to have media out every time. But the off-road, the off-road community just really thrives on good content, and you've got really good players in the game who, even if it's not from the team themselves, it's like they're pumping content. So, and I can't really say why. I think it's just because it's really entertaining to watch. Like when you see a truck rocket over like a double or something, you know what I mean? Or like anything in the dunes. These guys in the dunes are like crazy with their UTVs.
That's a good point. That's a good point. It's not just about the racing and the winning of the race, but what happens during the race is with
Right.
a lot of off-roaders. So what kind of content do you like them to collect? Is it photos? Is it media? Then do you want them to post it or send it to you where you can post it? What type of format? Help some of the attendees on the call understand what adds value to companies like yours that they can do for some of their other sponsors or potential sponsors that they're trying to secure.
I think what it really comes to, like, you can go still or video. Video that's produced is great, but sometimes the challenge with that is if it's co-branded with either like maybe a conflicting brand or something like that. But co-branded is a little bit harder for us to redistribute as well and share.
Now, let me interrupt real quick, Mark. Co-branded, you mean other logos on the vehicle or
other logos in the
just anywhere
video.
in the ad?
So like, yeah, like if it's like presented by so and so and so and so,
okay.
And then if it's takes too, we don't want it to take too much attention away from what you've got going on. But so if you send some raw footage that we can cut together, if you have permission, always make sure to get permission from your media provider.
Do you get that in writing?
Yeah.
Photographers. Yeah. Okay. Hear that, guys?
So
photographer, media release in writing. Get your releases in writing.
Yeah. And work with your team to get that. And that's really important because we can't share watermarked stuff. That's not fair to anybody. It's illegal. And a lot of people don't realize how illegal and how not good that is. You know, a lot, they're like, oh, they said you can use it. They said you can use it. It's like, well, they might have, but do they know what we're going to do and how far it's going to reach? Like if I use something for a catalog and they said they thought it was just going to be on social media, we're going to get a phone call and be like, okay, well, you owe us like $5,000 for that photo. It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I can't, you know, we have to be very delicate with what we choose. And usually if it comes directly from the driver without a watermark, ready to go, that's the safest stuff. And we'll always, you know, use that.
Right. And how important are wins versus collecting good content?
Everybody loves wins. They feel good. It shows that your product's working. You know, we're, to be honest, we're a legacy brand, and I'm proud to say that we're a legacy brand. We've been around a long time.
Yes, absolutely.
I think for us, it's really important, mostly to have a strong partnership, give us content, you know, let's work together, help us develop new products, maybe ask for something that we don't have. And, you know, we're really, really busy, so we might not be able to do that, but at least we're talking. Most of our products came from the racetrack. You know, we did like 4.5-inch or 4-inch race springs for Robbie Gordon, like forever ago. We were, all of our off-road springs came straight from the dirt, you know, and we have a ton of circle track springs that are coming straight from race teams. So that communication and those relationships really go a long way. And we can work together to make some rad stuff.
Nice. And now, out of curiosity, how many requests and proposals or sponsor me calls do you or others at Eibach Springs get on a let's say weekly basis?
They were I don't know, like 10 to 20, but we're up to like 50 or so a week, maybe 70. There's been a bit of an insurgence. It's like someone said the magic word is sponsorship.
It wasn't me. I just gave it to two people. Just all right. So guilty as charged. Justin and Jason got it, and I think Taylor got it. Justin, Jason, and Taylor. I think I gave out 3. So sorry about that. But the other 50 were not for me. Say again.
The definition has changed.
Yeah, let's talk about that. How has the definition of sponsorship changed? It's the term sponsorship is not what it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, nowadays it's almost like sponsorship equals discount code. So it's really kind of taken away from, I think, the value of the word and the term itself. And that's why I try and use the word partnership a little more these days, because it's it is a two-way street. And again, this is all, I feel like a lot of people are hearing this conversation a lot more these days. But it's true. I mean, sponsorship used to be that, but with all of this the insurgence of social media and just being able to find out information online more than ever, people now, there's no secrets now. Like everyone knows that how supply chains work. Everyone knows how marketing works, and all of these things that used to be kind of like, if you know, you know, and you don't have to worry about any Joe Schmo coming up. Now everybody knows what to do. So they'll find me directly and say, hey, do you have a sponsorship code? Like, can you sponsor me? And it's like, well, who are you?
and so what brings them to the top for selection? What criteria do you look for then when you're asking, who are you?
Honestly, I kind of shut off the second I see the word sponsor in the first communication.
Interesting. All right. That's interesting. Let's go deeper on that. That's good, because you're not the first person to say that.
Oh, really?
Mike DeFord said, do not start with an email. It better not start with an email. If I see an email, I'm not even going to, entertain the call. So he has to start with the relationship with him. So I'm assuming it's very similar there.
Yeah, email's okay. Actually, email's good for me. I like email. I get super lost. I'm horrible at texting and responding to text because you can't mark them as unread, or at least I don't know how, because I'm.
Yeah, I wish we could do that.
But I'm really bad at that. So email is best. Email is best for us. And or I mean, you can message us on social media, but really we get like thousands and thousands of messages on social media, so they can get lost very easily. But that's really the best way to go. But if you come in and you're like, hey, I'm looking for looking for a sponsorship, it's like, okay, so right off the bat, you've set that precedent. Like, well, what about, are there any opportunities, or open doors? Like, can I open some doors? Can I talk to the right person? Like, are you the right person to speak with about any opportunities of working together? Like, to me, that sentence right there says, okay, well, this person might have done this before, but they at least, this is the correct way to go about it, in my opinion. So those are the people I'll reach out and be like, yeah, like, so I'm the right guy. And what are you looking, what do you do? Tell me about yourself. What are you looking for? And what are some deliverables? What can we work together on?
That's what drew me to Jason, and why I actually referred Jason over. Because when I spoke with him, it was clear that he was a businessman as well as a racer. So he knew the business of racing, and he understood what sponsors want from racing. And I thought, this is someone I can refer, because he can at least speak the language of what the brands are looking for. And I thought that was very important.
Yeah, that was very, very noticeable right off the bat, actually. So
cool. Are there any other examples of teams who do a really good job? Anything off the top of your heads? Like something that's just maybe different or out of the ordinary, something that works really well for the brand?
Yeah, I guess there's it's kind of not current anymore because of the current state of shows and everything, but being able to do activations or set up an activation and distribute promotional materials for the brand is good. We worked with a team, Shay Holbrook and her team we had an activation program with them, and that worked out great. They were also really helpful when we were working with Pirelli World Challenge and we needed, vehicles with cameras on them. Like, they were able to facilitate all of those things. So it's basically, again, kind of back down to the partnership. We have friends in different places, and our teams have friends in different places, and everyone kind of gets connected. I'm constantly talking to guys over at Fox. He's like, oh, this would be a good guy for you, and vice versa. Yeah. And so it's all about networking, really, is what it comes down to. And as long as you're good, personable people, and we trust to represent the brand well, and it helps to know a lot of people and connect the dots in a lot of places.
So you said something that a lot of people have said. A lot of my guests on the show so far have mentioned networking, and I think that's a topic I'm going to have to go a little bit deeper into, maybe on a future episode, in a future webinars. Talk more about networking and how to network. So networking for me is usually going to events. I go to races. I go to sometimes summits. I often create the events, summits and offsites, but also SEMA and PRI. If you're at a trade show, is that a good place for people to network with you, or are you too busy working? Is it better for them to network at races or some other event? How would you recommend some of the attendees on the call, take advantage of networking opportunities without bugging the crap out of you when you're trying to work?
Yeah, well, SEMA's tough. SEMA's tough.
Yeah.
If you have a marketing anything in your title, you're inundated with everything. But that's okay. You listen to what everyone has to say, and you never know what can work out. So I try and be open to that. But it's a hard time. It's a hard time to really listen and consume what you have to say. Like, you'll hand me, you could hand someone, or not even me, anybody, a card, and it's like the game of telephone, right? That card's going to end up in a stack of cards. And at the end, when everyone comes back and you download after SEMA, it's like, okay, I think, this one has my name written on it. Like, talk to them. It's really, SEMA is different than PRI. PRI is a lot more focused on racing itself. It's a lot more personal. I think you have a lot better conversations there. I think it's less media focused, so you're not getting
It's a good point.
Inundated as much. It's more about selling to the racers and really being there for racers and motorsport. So I think that's going to be the better platform to do that. But really, I think really focusing on reading the room and reading and being understanding of the person's time who you're going up to.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
put yourself in their shoes and just be totally, try and be as almost as invisible as possible, but make an impact. So to elaborate on that, you can, I'm just trying to play all these instances back in my head because at SEMA, you're standing there, you're talking to someone.
Oh, yeah.
And you can
Another
feel
guy
the
walks
other
up and
guy.
hands you a card instantly. Yeah.
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
feel the other guy standing there staring at you, waiting for you to finish talking. And you're like, I don't want to talk to anybody right after this guy. But so I think if you're floating around, just be as invisible as possible. And when you have your moment, go up and just introduce yourself and you say, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'd really like to talk about any opportunities moving forward for my race team. I race this, and hand a card or hand, not a deck, but just an introductory, whatever piece that you've got, just something, a bio package, something.
Yep.
And then just say, I'd love to speak with you when all this craziness is done. Like, to me, that would go so far.
Yes. So start the conversation, start the relationship, get the relationship going at least. And then once you have that relationship, then perhaps after you understand the business, then you create a proposal that, proposes a partnership. I often say you don't want to hand someone a deck when you first meet them. Definitely don't walk up to someone. And I ask several of the guests this. I'm going to ask you real quick, just because I'm thinking of it. Sometimes I forget, but how many times have you given someone a sponsorship on a first meeting, first phone call, first meeting, first email, first deck that you get? Have you ever, or do you ever go, wow, this is a great deck, I'm going to give them a sponsorship? Or does it take a while?
I mean, if it's well put together, I'll look at it. I'll definitely look at it a little more. I can't say that I haven't done that because I have.
Okay.
But I feel like I can get on the phone and have good conversations and I do the research. We talk. I need to first speak with the person and really. So there is relationship building to that point. I'll speak with them, kind of get a feel for their vibe. I mean, you can
Okay.
tell everyone like right off the bat. In my opinion, I do, and then I do research, and I will check everything that you got. What's your reach? Like, what's your social media? How good are you at, like, how consistent are you? And I will research you. I'll Google everything. If you don't rank highly in Google, like if your name doesn't pop up on any race series, it's really hard. It's really hard because it's like, if no one can find you, how are my guys going to find you if you all of a sudden don't deliver on your part of the partnership?
Exactly. Matt Martelli always says, you are what they Google. You are what they Google.
Yeah. No, it's true.
It's cool that you say that. It's so you don't just listen and look at the statistics and the numbers in a deck and take that for, the gospel. You actually do your homework and research and verify the information in a deck or in a proposal.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Jason, I see you're on here, but I was figuring you out while we were talking over the phone our very first time. Like, you could probably hear the keys clicking away, but that's part of the, we all try and treat our businesses like they're our own, even if they're not. And I have to do my due diligence and make sure whoever that we're working with is legitimate potential partner.
Right. Nice. Now, roughly how many and it doesn't have to be an exact numbers, do you have any all cash sponsorships, or at least mostly cash, or is it primarily all product or, product weighted? Are there any big name teams that get money because they know how to spend it right on your behalf?
No, not at this time. We have had that in the past, but generally moved away from that. So what we do is, technical partnerships, or we find ways for teams to be a branch of our own in-house team.
Okay. Now, if a team doesn't know what you're doing in-house, but still wants to approach you for a potential partnership, how do they learn what you're doing in-house? Are you willing to talk about that to a stranger, or do they have to get past the first hurdle? It's kind of hard to know what brands are up to and then say, hey, I can do this for you, without first knowing what it is that they want. What's the way that they can learn that and at least get the conversation started?
I would say, I think it's their responsibility to do their research and learn the brand with whatever tools they have available. So, get on the website, do a little research,
There you go.
learn to spell the name right, learn to say the name right. That's kind of a big deal to me. If you say that name wrong right away, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
It's good. You have to come, you're 2 steps back. So that's super important. You'd be surprised. You probably wouldn't be surprised, but most people would be surprised how wrong it gets. I mean,
I have
ours
a
is
German
hard
last name, so it gets butchered a lot. I know how it
Yeah,
feels.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a hard name, but at the same time, there's tons of it. We have YouTube videos saying our name. We have all of these tools. So do your due diligence and do a little research and figure out what how to say the name right, or even figure out what the brand is about. If you look at Eibach right now, a lot of people might think that we're lowering springs for Hondas or Mustangs or whatever, but they'll find pretty quickly that we've been manufacturing race springs since 1987. We started with race springs, and then our off-road race springs have been the same stuff for decades now, getting smashed around Baja and Dakar and everywhere. And then, they've been running them for seasons and seasons and seasons. So, take the time, do some research. If you come to the conversation with even this like general knowledge, it's really helpful. And we can tell that you're invested in learning about us, and we are invested in learning about you.
Nice. Do you have, now I'm putting you on the spot here because we've not talked about this and I just thought of it, but are there any examples without giving names of bad approaches? Like one that is memorable, like, oh my gosh, you're not going to believe they did this. Anything stick out or no?
There's a lot of them, but I can't think of one that's like
They're not going to say, are you? You're too good.
No,
Too nice.
I had one just recently who was like, oh, this is like a low key one. I don't think no one's gonna know who it is, but I mean, anyway, I had someone who I think I was given an opportunity to be like a little bit of an ambassador on social media. So it's like, I'll give you a special price on this kit in return for these deliverables. And never heard anything from this person. Reached out to my social team, like everybody did all the research, like, did anyone hear from this guy? Like, did we see anything? And nothing. And all of a sudden, and so that was that. And I just recently got an email that said, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm
Remember me?
Yeah, right. I'm looking for springs for my whatever. And it's like, oh, okay. I can't find anything. I can't find anything from what we talked about or discussed. Like he's like, well, I tag you on all my stuff. It's like, okay, well, but you never proactively reached out and gave us anything. And then all of a sudden I get an email back with a little Dropbox link of images. And it's like, dude, I don't want to have to ask for it.
Yeah. Like you're not getting enough emails anyway. And you cannot be charged with having to do the research and look at all the race results, all the social media, all the tags, the posts.
Right.
That has to be provided. Which, by the way, goes to another point: is do you require proof of performance, or do you request proof of performance reports from your teams? And if so, how often?
We have a couple different types of sponsorship. We have I guess the kind of way you look at it is we have a marketing side of things, and then we have a sales motorsports side of things. The sales motorsports side is a little more serious. We have patches on suits and a lot more requirements, and we have a lot larger deliverables on our end as far as product goes. A lot of the stuff I am focused on is like on the marketing end of thing that comes out of a different budget altogether. Okay. And that's, special price on stuff, or if there's a cool project going on that's like mostly marketing related, that's the stuff that I'm mostly focused on.
Okay. You just mentioned budget. What's your budget cycle, or what's your fiscal year? When do you make decisions?
It's just a rolling year. So like calendar year.
You're on the calendar year. So German company on American calendar year. Okay. And which is also the German calendar year, I guess. I know a lot of German companies have a September fiscal year end, I think, but.
Yeah, no, we're on the US calendar year. And then I'm usually looking at stuff. The beginning of Q4 is when I have to send stuff to Germany. So that's usually end of Q3, mid Q3, Q4.
Okay.
I guess right around SEMA time. Which,
Yeah, that's
you know,
it keeps you busy. SEMA.
yeah, right.
Do you ever return home from SEMA with a package, a stack, and a suitcase full of decks, or do they all stay in the trash can back at SEMA?
No, I bring it home.
You're a good man.
That's not fair. I bring them home. I look through them. I look
You're
through
a good man. You're the first person who said that. Everybody else leaves them behind. That's good.
It's just you blind grab so much stuff. It's like, okay, now I can take a second and look. A lot of it hits the cutting room floor, but you know, I still.
But also, let me just take a random guess here. I'm guessing you drive to SEMA because you're in Southern California. You drive to Vegas.
Yeah. Yep.
So you can put it in your truck or your car in your trunk and you can transport it home. Whereas people who have to fly to the East Coast, they may not want to put it in their luggage. So
yeah, that's tough.
That could be all right.
I think the solution for that is you stuff it in the crate of whatever is coming back.
Yes,
you know, if you have promotional material that's coming back for some reason, then, you know, a lot of times it just ends up in there. We do throw a lot of stuff in the crates and then they come back, but it's like 2 days later. So it's not too bad, but I don't know. I'm there for like, not so much anymore, but I used to be there for like 10 days, set up and tear down. And, you know, our team has grown a little bit. So now we've got a lot of guys doing that and kind of staggered throughout the week. But, you know, SEMA is busy and there's a lot of stuff. You're just, like I said, you're getting handed stuff blindly. Yeah. I don't know what you feel about SEMA, but I think, again, it's not always the best. Maybe that's the good time where you just introduce yourself quickly and then gracefully mention you'll reach out some other time or something, just to put your face to a name.
I'll usually try to do that. If it's somebody new for me, someone who I don't know or haven't met yet, I'll try to schedule a quick meeting at SEMA. And the only purpose of that meeting at SEMA is just to schedule another meeting after SEMA, or another call, or usually a face-to-face if I can, or a lunch or a dinner or something. So the purpose of SEMA to me is to make that first initial contact, because now the ice is broken, and then to follow up after SEMA, because at SEMA, like you said, there's so much going on. You really aren't focusing on, you aren't thinking and remembering everybody you meet and what they do. And it's very easy to get some of the meetings confused and the people confused who you just meet for the first time. So PRIs, like you said, a little bit more low key. And I speak every year at PRIs. So I have a long line of people that after a presentation that will hand me a deck, even though I say, guys, I don't make sponsorship decisions anymore. You'd be surprised how many decks I walk away with.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I actually keep them too. I'll send them home. There you go. I do it because, you know, I've been there, so I don't like throwing that stuff away. And I like to look. Sometimes you learn things in decks. You know, you learn about different series and different racers, and sometimes the mechanics of the vehicles. Just, you know, for me, it's more education than it is I'm gonna be able to sponsor somebody, because I don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's true. I as a graphic designer by education and a marketing guy by trade, I actually really enjoy looking through them and sort of critiquing, like, oh, this was a good, you know, this was good. You know, it's like you almost want to reach back out and be like, this was like, you were almost there. Like, let me help you tighten this up.
Yeah.
But you can't do that for everybody. That's, I mean, well, you can. That's you.
Yeah.
But
one person. Well, I tell you, people on this webinar tonight are going to hear something that no one's heard yet. And I'm going to launch, I'm working on it now, but it might be a couple months before it's ready. But at the end of my workshop, you'll be able to download decks from all the series that I've been involved with, deck templates. So a racer no longer has to go pay an exorbitant amount of money to create a deck, you know, from a media agency. Now there'll be templates that they can download, hopefully, you know, at a very, very affordable price. I'm working with a designer right now who's going to start making some for me. And I'm trying to import all the data directly from the series so that the data is accurate. It's the same data of the series, from reach to attendance to impressions, you know, household audience, things like that. I think that would be quite useful.
That's a great tool.
I think it will be. And because, in a digital world, you can do that now.
Yeah, no, that's a very good tool. And yeah, having those metrics live is huge, because, you know, that's helpful for us, because if it's a series that I've never heard of or we've never heard of before, how are we to know what the demographic is or anything like that? So that's a good idea. Great tool.
I see Tammy's putting on her glasses. Everybody who's been on this call before knows what that means. That means she's about to read perhaps a chat room question or two. Let's
Oh
see.
man.
Tammy, do we got any questions here? Let's.
Here we go.
I can't.
Okay, first
Can,
question.
can you guys hear Tammy first?
Can you hear me?
A little bit, yeah.
Here, I'm gonna.
Can I take it out? Okay, here we go. All right. You said that you tried the drifting route, but it didn't hold. Do you know why? And would you be willing to try again?
I came in right as our drift, our efforts with Formula D were kind of dwindling a little bit. We were there at the events. We had activations at the events. I think we are up against a very JDM culture, and we're a German spring, and there are very loyal JDM guys, and there are other spring guys in the space who are also like an add-on to existing coilover systems, which we've never been in that market strong in that level of product market. I don't know how to say that right, but you'll find us on like Olin's, JRZs, and some other coilover companies that are from Europe, a lot of European and US coilover companies, but there are a lot of Asian coilover companies who use Asian springs, which are fine. There are some very good quality ones out there. And a lot of the drift guys and gals are very loyal to the JDM products. And so it's really tough to get in front of everybody. We have the springs, we have the 60 mil ID stuff, we have the 65 mil ID stuff. A lot of these guys have they call out a 62, but it has just an isolator in between. And it's really just a 60 mil perch. So we've got the springs to do it. I actually did a little video on YouTube, check it out, to show you how that all works. But yeah, we are in some conversations with current FD team, but still very early in the relationship. So I don't know. Eibach as a brand is kind of not entirely stepped away from drifting, but I have very close ties to drifting these days, and I am, it's in my face all the time. So I'm looking at it a lot more as a potential opportunity.
Okay, one more question, Mark. What about if the partnership includes getting an already partnered up auto service entity with many locations to sell and install the Eibach products? Does connecting the dots have a different value as part of a partnership?
Can you reread the first half of that?
Yes. What about if the partnership includes getting an already partnered up auto service entity with many locations to sell and install the Eibach products?
Oh, yeah. Well, so
Sounds like B2B is what it sounds like.
yeah, but yeah. So what it sounds like is they either have a connect over, or they're basically leveraging the fact that they can sell product, and ultimately that's what everyone wants to do. We want to be able to sell product. So if you're saying that you can directly sell product by setting up a jobber or a retailer for selling the product, I would say that is definitely a win, and definitely something we'll look at as a positive, regardless of that could definitely balance out deliverables, if that makes sense.
So Mark, let's talk for a second about business to business, because that sounds more like a potential sponsorship that obviously generates revenue. It's not just an exercise in exposure and branding, but it leads to opening distribution and creating sales. Do you formulate any of your sponsorships or these technical partnerships based on potential business that you could do with other brands that sponsor the racers? Do you look at the B2B opportunities in any cases as much as you look at the visibility?
Admittedly, not so much. We have a pretty large distribution channel And it's not that we're not looking for more routes of distribution, but a lot of the channels that we have are pretty
Okay.
well in position. So yeah, I guess I'm kind of going backwards.
No, that makes sense. It's I was wondering because
but
sometimes, you know, like tire companies might, or wheel companies might try to do B2B with tire companies, and then they can do cross promotions. And I mentioned that when Bill Stein was involved with the Lucas Oil Off-Road Racing Series, their main goal was to have a booth right next to Toyota because they wanted to get to know the guys at Toyota Racing a little bit better. And it really wasn't so much about promoting Bill Stein to the spectators. It was about getting next to Toyota. Yeah, you know, sometimes ulterior motives. Tammy said there is one more question in the chat room. I'm going to give her the mic.
sure.
Okay. 2-part question. Here we go. How can someone make a good first impression with a brand if there isn't an opportunity for an in-person meeting or can't get a hold of anyone over the phone? And then the second part was, second question, if I wasn't able to meet my deliverables, how can I make it right as an ambassador? So two separate questions.
It's not just necessarily Eibach Springs, but in general. It sounds like a general sponsorship question to me.
Yeah, I think so. Part one of that would be so how to reiterate, how do you make an impression if you don't have an opportunity to do it? I think social media is a strong tool for that. You can tag, you can post, you can reshare. I don't want to keep going to that and just kind of making social media a cop out, but the long and short of it is that's pretty much what's feeding marketing today.
And
And
you're going to Google that person anyway. So what's on Google,
right,
whether or not they meet you in person, you're going to Google them. So what's on Google is going to help.
Yeah. So, but you know what? If you really want it, you're going to figure out how to open that door. You just keep your ears open and look for opportunities. You can go, follow, if you're following Eibach and we say, hey, we're going to be at Off-Road Expo, get your butt down to Off-Road Expo and introduce yourself to the marketing person down there.
Yes.
That's what opens doors. That's what gets you where you need to be. Just, if you want it, I mean, like I said, let's say you're an off-road racer, you're going to be at Off-Road Expo anyway. Go down and, talk to whoever, figure out who you want to work with, go find the people. Again, be conscious of how busy they are, their attitude, their demeanor. Make it quick, just an introduction. Love to work together. Here's my, do you have a card? I can reach out to you. And then, make sure you follow up quickly, but don't put a timeline on it. And go from there.
Makes sense.
And then,
get to know the person.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Does that good for the first half? I don't know.
That sounded good to me. I don't know who asked it. I can't see the questions, but Tammy's using the computer.
Moving on to the second half, I'd say honesty is the best policy. If you're not going to be delivering on what you've got going on, reach out beforehand. Don't come knocking when you need something if you haven't done it. So just like that example I gave earlier, I got a link to images that we should have had from the very beginning, only when the guy needed something. So always reach out and just be proactive about it and say, look, I can't get them this week. I can't get them this month. This happened. The car broke. We're not going to be at the race. And just be honest and be like, okay, well, yeah, I understand that, the car broke, or, you don't have the funds to do this race. Let's figure out how to finish the deliverables. And I think everyone's willing to do that,
And the reality is last year with COVID, everything changed. So all the racers who had scheduled races and scheduled events, it was all canceled.
Split. Yeah.
So I think sometimes honesty, like you said, is the best policy. Under promise, over deliver. Do as much as you can with what you have. And if you can't go to races, find other ways to promote those sponsors and find other ways to represent. You don't only have to represent while you're at the races. You can represent and promote your sponsors in between races. And that's probably even a better time to do it, honestly.
Yep. Exactly.
So we're winding down here. We're almost at the 1 hour mark. This went really fast, Mark. I told you they were going to go fast. Holy cow, this one went fast. Are there more questions, Tammy? Or
No questions right now.
okay, we're on that. Mark, what's next on your schedule? What's I think California is opening up today. Technically, they say masks come off.
Yeah.
It's June 15th. But what I don't know what I have on my schedule. I have Great American Short Course Race. I did not go to Baja 500 last week, but I'll be at both SEMA and PRI, obviously. I'm going to try to hit a few local races before then, perhaps. But where are you going to be?
I would love to say we're going to be everywhere, but honestly, we're still trying to figure out what shows we are going to do. I know we're for sure doing SEMA this year. We're for sure signed up for PRI. We've got a lot of little stuff in between. Off-Road Expo is, I think, just finalized. Overland Expo.
Oh, that's good. When is Off-Road Expo? I'm not aware of that.
September 18th.
Excellent. I got to put that on the calendar.
I
haven't missed one.
know.
The only one I missed was last year when they didn't have it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, we're working on that one. Like I said, we're really focused on the off-road market this year. We're working on a open house, maybe on Veterans Day or the Veterans Day weekend, the All-American meet. So that's pretty cool. We'll probably only be focusing on a couple of the big off-road shows and then a few in-house meets later in the year once things kind of cool off. I know we're all officially open, but the fact of the matter is, it's still around. People are still sick. I had literally wasn't allowed back in the office because I had a cold until I tested negative for COVID. So we're still super strict, and none of us were in Baja because we couldn't be. Otherwise, we'd be quarantined for a couple weeks. So we're taking it seriously at Eibach, and we just want everyone to be healthy and not be affected by this.
And you're also working for a German company, so you have two sets of standards you have to adhere to. Both, well, you have American, the CDC, you have California, local, and you also have headquarters in Germany. So there's three different agencies or regulators, I guess is the word that you need to be cognizant of.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a challenge, but we feel like we're persevering quite well. It's opened a lot of opportunities as far as just business goes. We didn't, our needs for e-commerce and needs for everyone's drop shipping all of a sudden. So it's like, okay, warehouse needs attention. So it's a mixed blessing, I guess you could say. I mean, that actually sounds way nicer than it really is. COVID's horrible, but as far as business goes, the challenges that it's presented us with has opened our eyes to being better for our customers in the future. How do we pump this many products out the door and keep everybody happy? And, we appreciate everyone's patience and patronage throughout all this. We are working as fast as we can. I know we're not the only ones in this position. I know the automotive aftermarket got hit really hard, which is good and bad. And there, some businesses were not able to keep up. Some businesses were lost. Some persevered. Some stayed steady. And it's kind of all over the place. And I hope to see a little bit more stabilization for the sake of for the community. I'm a car guy too. I want all this to work. And I treat this like it's my business. So you just get excited, like, oh my gosh, this is, how do we get this better? It needs to be better. It needs to be better, faster, better, faster. Yeah. So, that's
have you seen a big rise in business because of the rise in off-road, the demand for off-road vehicles? Polaris is out of stock, they say. Can-Am has back orders. Everybody's going, riding now because they didn't have anything else to do last year, or they had the opportunity. It's not they didn't have anything else to do, but they had the opportunity now to get out and work from the desert and work from the dunes. Did you see a rise in off-road business?
Our truck and UTV markets have just completely exploded. We started manufacturing late model truck shocks in 2014-ish, and we only offered the shock, and then we started to wind the spring. Like, why not have a spring with it? So now it's like a 2 to 3 inch lift, super simple, smooth body shock. And now we just came out with the coilover system, and we're like, we can't keep any of
Wow,
this stuff on the
nice.
shelf. It's crazy.
Well,
We make everything
congratulations.
in, thank you. We make everything in Corona, even the shocks from start to finish, the springs. So it's all there. And like I said, we just can't keep up. It's like crazy. And the UTV market's been great because they come with really, really good shocks from the factory. You got some solid Walker Evans, you got some solid Fox, you got all of these great shock technologies, and you've got a spring that's a couple bucks from the factory, and they come completely sacked out, like completely flat. And your on your Razor, your 3-spring rear setup is basically a single rate setup, because the 2 top tenders or whatever are just flat already. So you switch that out and you make it a true dual rate setup, and it's like amazing. You can smash over everything. I mean,
Nice.
you've experienced it, so.
Nice. Oh yeah. Every year we do our rides. You have to come next time.
Yeah,
do the
no,
ride
I
around
missed
Joshua
the
Tree.
last one. I missed the last one. Vittorio got out there. He had fun.
Cool. That's kind. You guys have a really nice looking. That the Razor is badass, or the UTV.
Yeah.
I think it was a Razor.
Yeah, that was a
Good.
we borrowed that from our R&D manager's now wife's brother. Oh, or I don't know. Anyway, we borrowed that. It's pretty badass.
Yeah, it was really cool. So
Yeah.
we've hit the hour mark. So I'm going to speed this up real quick. We're going to try to get to 1 or 2 more questions in the chat room that I'm going to run over, and we'll stop the official recording and we'll do a little one-on-one. If you're welcome to stay and join. Usually what I do, Mark, is right after the webinar ends is I'll just, those people who remain on the call, I'll just get with I'll walk to my computer where I can actually read some of the chat room questions, and I can see the names and see who they are. And I just engage in some quick one-on-one with my computer screen or computer camera, as opposed to this fancy one here. So I'm going to give the
very jealous
microphone
of
to
the
Tammy
fancy
and get the last couple of questions here.
All right. Okay. There's 2 more in the chat. So the first one is, what's Eibach's stance to race car build videos rather than Jason's off-road Baja action hype content, as in technical type videos in off season?
I think anything that shows our product being installed or shows people how to install it is valuable. For the algorithm, for a YouTube algorithm or anything like that, you throw like a how-to in the title, and that stuff just goes real far. So I think there's definitely room for that as far as content goes as well.
Great. Okay, last question that I have in the chat. I hear a lot of marketing directors say SEMA is not the place for partnership proposals, and PRI is better for that. But the same directors also state that their budgets are decided before the end of November, and PRI is in December. So is it better to reach out around September, October?
Oh, that's a very good question. I have to
Is
think
that a
about
good one?
that
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Is there an answer? Is there a right answer to that one? I don't know. That's a tough one there.
Yeah,
That's a great
I think
question.
honestly, in person's great. If you start that conversation in September and say, I'll see you at PRI, and then you put like you say, Alex, you start the relationship early, and then you can go at PRI and actually say, hey, my name is Jason, and it's nice to finally meet you. How have you been happy with the way everything's been going? Like, how can I help, or how can we grow, or anything like that? So maybe PRI is your follow-up meeting. I think, again, it is a good point that we all say that our budgets are, done by then by PRI and SEMA, but I don't think it hurts to reach out earlier than that. I wouldn't even wait. I don't wait that long.
Yeah, build that relationship. That's what it's all about. It's build a relationship. It's a great place. Why, it's never too late to start.
Yeah, like I said, and I think a follow-up question to that would be like, oh, well, what if there's no other way to make an impression? Again, back to the point where go find us at shows, figure out a way to, on social media. You can reach out to a lot of manufacturers on social media. A lot of manufacturers don't use in-house social media people, and sometimes it's hard to get responses there. If that's the case, try a different channel. Maybe the Facebook person looks at it better than the Instagram person, or the Twitter guy doesn't ever pay attention to the inbox. It's not always the same person managing it. And you can also, if you really dig, you can figure out who's in charge of what. You just Google it.
Yeah, that's true. And you're right about different marketing directors doing different social media, even at different times. Because, Memorial Day is a big race, launch weekends, and there's a lot of races going on. You can't be at 25 races at once. You have to choose a race, and your social team, you have to send one person perhaps from each, social media outlet to each race, and you can't be everywhere at all times. So that's a good one. I like that.
Yep.
Very insightful. All right. Well, listen, Mark, thank you so much for joining. This was awesome.
Yeah.
I think
Thanks
very
for having me.
It went quick.
This went super fast.
It did went super fast. Can you stay on for a couple more minutes? And
Absolutely.
All right.
Sure.
I'm gonna turn my recorder off, and then I'm gonna head over and go to the other screen. So I'm gonna just open it up. Anybody who wants to jump in and ask Mark a question, feel free while I walk over to the computer.
Hey, Mark. My name is Justin. I actually asked you the question about drifting, and
okay.
over the back, I think you said in 2014 you were really exploring it, and it was the JDM market was really dominating everything, which is true. But over the course of the last 18 months or so, you've seen that JDM market completely shift. Right now, at an event, maybe you have a third are Nissan, Infiniti, your JDM market. The rest are actually BMW, and actually Mustang. I'm on a 10-car team called Tough Luck, and we have 3 Mustangs, 6 BMWs, and 1 240 on our team. So that market itself is actually completely and totally shifting from even when I started, which was in 15 or 16. And which it was mostly 240s.
Like, the BMW is real, and I'm a BMW guy, so I can really appreciate it.
I drift a Z3, a fluorescent Z3. So
perfect. That's a tough chassis. That thing's super twitchy.
You have no idea how hard it is to get that swing arm to camber out at zero. You can't. Zero tire is impossible on that car.
Yeah.
So
well, I agree, and I do see the BMWs coming. Actually, that's kind of where we're looking. To be more specific about what I was talking about earlier, it was more the JDM spring product, if that makes sense. The Asian spring products and the Asian coilovers specifically. Yes, there are JDM cars. If you talk to a lot of people in like the Honda scene, Eibach is synonymous with Honda. So it's like, it's not so much the cars. Yes, there are a lot more German cars out there, and domestic cars drifting, because apparently now there's a massive 240 drift tax, and the E36 is getting there too.
Yes, it is.
So I think that's a good point, and definitely something to kind of step back and look at. I haven't really stepped back and said, oh, you know what? Look at the cars that are doing this. Maybe we have a space there. But a lot of times with the coilover companies, they come with their own springs, or they're selling this other spring company as like an upgraded package. And if they're going to be sponsoring that product, they don't want any other spring on there. So for us to work with a group or a company or a team, they need to have a damper sponsor or a coilover company who is okay with switching out springs, and we would be okay with. There's no conflict there. That's the challenge, and we're actually seeing that a lot in the off-road world. Fortunately, we have great relationships with with all of these brands, but guys like Fox are using our springs kind of off the shelf, so that's an easy fit. And but it's out there, and the more spring and damper companies that are coming out with their own spring or their own spring upgrade makes it a little bit harder to do that.
Thanks, Justin. Thanks for that.
What was that, Alex?
Actually, I don't think I moved my microphone. Let me move this back over here.
There you go.
I was just thanking Justin for the question there. And
Does that kind of, I kind of got ahead of you there, but does that kind of answer what
Yeah,
you're?
yeah, that makes sense. Spring companies, I think you're talking about Swift, I think is a major one right now with BC. They partner with BC. But I mean, it's like it surprises me that Eibach hasn't made more of a splash with how the scene is. Because I mean, you got BC, you got Fortunato, which are the main two, but now you got Feel and Silvers. I mean, you got companies all over the place. I'm just like, well, Eibach is, I mean, they're in every other type of motorsport, everything else. I mean, it's Eibach. This is what you run. You want to drag a car, you run Eibach Springs. You do off-road, you run Eibach Springs. It's just what you do. You want it to be good, you run Eibach. That's just how it works.
Exactly. Justin, I'm gonna take this recording and just put it in front of everybody and be like, look, Justin wants drift stuff. We're doing drift stuff.
I support you 100%, right?
Nice. I'm glad people.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Yeah, we've been, like Alex said, Formula One to SCCA, and we've been in the thick of it for a really, really long time. And that's something that I have brought up a lot of times, and we're eventually going to get there. I think a challenge with that also is that on the road, road course racing, circuit racing, and drift stuff, there's not a lot of turnover on springs. Like, people aren't replacing springs very often. Not to like toot our own horn, but we make some really nice stuff that keeps its rate and dimensions and load characteristics for a really, really long time. So unless you're like physically smashing stuff, they don't really need to be replaced that often. So not to discredit that, but that's another challenge, another hurdle that I've been trying to get over. It's like, hey, let's get in front of this. And not to say it's not going to happen for sure, because it's something that I like to see also.
Cool. Very cool. Do we have anybody else? Last minute questions? I'm getting hungry. I think I'm going to run up and grab a dinner now. Dinner time here in SoCal.
Sorry, I gab so much.
No, this is awesome. So raise your hand if you think this one went fast too. I mean, who's been on a prior webinar and this one went really quick, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Hey, I heard you guys talking about the SEMA show, Alex, especially like every time you mention it. Do you guys like go out for like these adventures on the razors and everything each time?
So not during SEMA. When I do razor events, actually during King of the Hammers, when a lot of brands that are out of Southern California fly into Southern California for the King of Hammers events, and that's another one where Wilfred and I always meet up. We do a razor ride, usually on the Thursday of King of the Hammers around Joshua Tree Park. So I'll try to time my event with something that's a long event where other people are going to be there anyway. SEMA is so busy and there's so many people that there's really not enough time for me to do events. When I was with Lucas Oil, we tried having some races at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Man, we could never get people to go there. People just won't leave the event. So they don't even want to leave downtown or Midtown, whatever it's called, the Strip Vegas, to go to the racetrack. It's very hard to get people to do something in Las Vegas. PRI was different. At PRI, I often had some summits that were timed around PRI, but they were marketing summits for other marketing directors, and it was a scheduled event, not open to the public. How about yourself, Mark? You do things around events, or no?
We're so slammed getting ready for them. It's like it's tough. It's tough to do that. It's I guess there are opportunities after something like SEMA where you have, at least in Southern California, you have all of the SEMA cars, like the show cars, are getting transported back, and they usually live somewhere in SoCal for at least a little bit or a week or two, and then get shipped back off across the country. So if you can have some events like right afterwards and everyone's still all hyped on it, and for the people who can't get into SEMA, they want to go out and see the cars in real life. So yeah, there are some events afterwards, and we have like Baja 1000 like right after, a couple weeks after too. So everyone's kind of hustling once they get home and kind of moving forward on that. But
Sponsorship summit. Now, here I say all that, and then I actually did a sponsorship summit at SEMA like 4 or 5 years ago. It was in the evening, I don't know, like on Wednesday or Thursday during SEMA, but it was at 8 o'clock at night. So it didn't really compete with the show, but it did take advantage while people were in town for those who would leave. And I had a surprising number of racers attend. I mean, we had a small
Yeah.
group that had maybe capacity of 70, and there was standing room only. So I was surprised at how many people actually came out. It was at Speed Vegas, that's at racetrack on the 15th.
Oh, cool.
Into Las Vegas. I did an event there, and it was quite successful.
The evening events are good if you can get them in front of people before some of the other stuff that goes on.
There's always an event ceremony or award ceremony. There's a
Yeah.
dinner. Yeah, it's very hard to schedule in the evenings. I tried it and it worked for me. I got lucky. Well, cool. Hey, everybody, thank you for attending, and thanks for watching again and listening and asking questions. I'm gonna, as you know, I post all these. I'm gonna post them all to the workshop, and I'm gonna make all these available as well to everybody who watches these. If you have more questions, email me. If you have specific questions for Mark, email me and I'll forward them to Mark. Mark, if you want to tell them how to reach you on LinkedIn or social, how do people get a hold of you at this point if they want to contact you? And any final words?
First, thank you, Alex. This was awesome. It's always nice to be as helpful as possible. And obviously, as a car guy or as car guys, I mean, I understand why you do this. It's like you just want people to succeed. And we want to grow the community and keep this going forever and ever. So thank you for the opportunity to speak with everybody. Thank you for what you're doing. As far as getting in touch with me, you can reach out to marketing@eibach.com. You could reach out to us via our social. We have an in-house team, and it's pretty much 1 or 2 guys who are looking at it. So we are pretty attentive to that stuff, even though it is, there's a lot going on. If you don't hear from us, you could follow up with an email. I'm happy to even give you my normal email. It's mkrumme@eibach.com. Give me some time to answer. I get a lot of emails, but it's okay to follow up after a week or 2, and then kind of go from there.
Right on. Well, thank you so much. Thanks again, and thank you everybody for attending.
Thank you for the questions, everybody. Good job. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Awesome
Thank you,
job.
Alex.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it as usual.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Cool. See you guys.